Do you ever find yourself knee-deep in mud, fighting off scrub, or just wishing you could walk through wet trails without getting your feet soaking wet? Today, we are diving into the world of gaiters. Not those type of gaiters. The gaiters that go on your feet and on your legs when you're hiking. We're going to be showcasing how these simple hiking accessories can revolutionise your hiking experience. And I'm not just going to be talking about any old gaiters. We're comparing some of the ones I have used over the years. We're going to be looking at the Summit Quagmires, the Outdoor Research Crocodile Gaiters, the Summit Grasshopper Gaiters, and the cutting-edge Rab Muztag GTX Gaiters. Stick around to find out which ones stand tall against the elements. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Mauser. If you're new here, then welcome aboard. I hope you enjoy the video. On this channel, we dive into everything hiking related, from gear reviews to trail guides. On this channel, it's all about making your adventure unforgettable. And today, we're just going to have a look at a bit of gear that doesn't really get a lot of limelight, but it's essential for any serious hiker, especially here in Tasmania in Australia. We're looking at gaiters. Now, over the years, I have tested them in the thickest of scrub, against the sharpest of rocks, and through some torrential rains. So let's get into it. Let's have a look at gaiters. Well, first up, you might be new to this whole thing. You might be saying, what are gaiters? What they are is a barrier that protects your lower legs and your boots and feet from the elements. And if they work really well, they'll keep you dry and comfortable from the terrain through which you are walking. But why should you care about them? Well, let's break down some of the benefits. First up, protection. From dry socks to defense against cuts and scrapes, gaiters are your first line of defense. Here where I live in Tasmania in the summer months, a lot of people wear them even in the heat, even on an open trail, to protect themselves from things like the local snake population. Another benefit is comfort. When you are battling deep scrub, if you're on rocky trails, the gaiters are going to protect your boots and prevent stuff getting into your boots and around your feet. On a beach, they might help prevent sand getting into your boots, just creating that uncomfortable feeling. Basically, with a pair of gaiters, you'll have a welcomed extra layer of defense to prevent anything from getting into your socks, boots, or trouser legs. And you can choose to use a pair of gaiters whenever you like when you're on the trail. They are there for your protection when you need them. Typically, it's best to wear them if you know you're going to be walking through muddy, wet terrain, especially scrubby terrain where you know there's going to be lots of sort of bushes, scrub, mud, that sort of thing. If you've got a lot of water crossings, creek crossings, river crossings, that sort of thing, I tend to put my gaiters on if it's sort of ankle deep water. Alternatively, if it's dry, loose ground, lots of rocky pebbles, that sort of thing, you'll put your gaiters on to stop them getting into the boots while you're walking on a hot day through dry, pebbly stuff. And well, I hear you saying, are there different types of gaiters? Well, thanks for asking. Yes, there are. There are ankle gaiters, those ones that are sort of just go up around the ankle, funnily enough, and basically just offer protection, especially when you're wearing trail runners, something like that. They stop stuff getting into those shoes. They cover that gap between the footwear and the clothing. There's also mid-length gaiters. They come a bit of the way, sort of, I guess, halfway up to the calf. And therefore, when things aren't getting too serious, you just want a bit of protection on the feet. You're not going full scrub. You're not going full crazy terrain. And you basically just wear them if you just want to make sure you're keeping debris and water out of your boots. But the most common ones that we use in the hiking fraternity are your full-length gaiters. They offer full protection to your lower leg from just below the knee down to the boot, and are really good in wet conditions. And they'll also protect you from the dirt and debris that could potentially get into your boots or your shoes. And these are more designed for those really rugged, tough conditions, and that's why I generally always wear the full-length gaiters. So let's dive in to my gaiter box. There's a few here, and let's see some of my favourite gaiters, the ones I've been using for around 30 years. First up, we've got the Summit Quagmire Gaiters in the canvas variety. And the Quagmires have been a mainstay in my hiking kit for many, many years. They're the one I always come back to. I've tried other gaiters, but I always end up coming back to the canvas Quagmire for Tasmanian conditions. With robust construction and excellent coverage, they are virtually impenetrable. I mean, I've got a few pairs that I own. Here's two of them. I've got many more actually. They come in a range of sizes. I'm normally an extra large. I do, however, a few criticisms of them, but first let's have a look at the construction of these ones. And just looking at the Summit website, how do they describe these ones? Well, there's a couple of different Quagmire versions. We'll have a look at the other one in a sec, but these ones they describe as the rough and tough version of our Quagmire Gaiter, made from cool and comfortable 8-ounce canvas. That's this stuff here. Ideal for saving your shins on leg destroying, overgrown tracks and providing serious footwear protection. And I have to say, I do agree with all of that. I mean, I'm just making this video here now and I'm looking at how many Quagmire Gaiters I've got, and somehow I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pairs of Quagmire Gaiters. They're not all for me. I may have ended up with an extra pair here or there over the years, I don't know. But that just sort of goes to tell you how I have used them. So, like the website says, they're made out of canvas, 8-ounce canvas, if that means anything to you. Well, what else do they tell you on the website? They've got a tough 1000D nylon boot section. That's this part here on the bottom. That is very tough. Look, I've never had a hole occur in these gaiters. They are extremely tough. Like, they are built for the Tasmanian scrub and the bush bashing, the bushwhacking that we do here. They're probably your best option. But where I find they do wear, and this is common for all gaiters that I have tried, they've got the 316 stainless steel powder coated lace hook, which is that bit there. Now, one of the issues I do find with these is that can bend quite easily sometimes. Often it doesn't even end up attaching to the lace of the boot. It just comes off because these are quite tight fitting, which is a good thing. These are quite tight fitting around the boot when you put them on, so there's nothing going to get in at all. There's no water getting in. But downside of that is, even when I'm wearing the extra large size, I find it very hard to get these hooked into the lace because that is so tight on the boot. And it's probably the boots I wear as well would have some effect on that. Obviously big boots will do that. The other place where you get a lot of wear and tear is on these bottom straps, and over the years they have changed them. There was one stage where they had steel wire that went under there that would break very easily and come off. They've lately, in the last few years, they've moved to this very thick plastic strapping, which is, you can see these, I've done a lot of trips, these gaiters, and they're starting to wear away on the strapping there. And you'll see also on the side where you can tighten the strapping on these ones, it has become quite worn, and it's to the point now where you can't really even adjust that strapping. It's just too tight. The metal's become bent. I don't know how you stop that unless you used hardened plastic, like a really hardened plastic. I don't know how you stop that happening. The other issue with all gaiters is the button, or the, what do you call that? The button attachment down the bottom that does up that bit there, which buckles up, that little button buckle thing. After a few trips, that one just did up then. It can be very hard for that to do up, so it doesn't do up, but the Velcro holds well. Got Velcro down the front here. That holds very well, but I mean, after a few trips, you get this happening. The straps break. I haven't found gaiters that doesn't happen to. It happens to them everywhere. Happens to every type of gaiter. The other thing with these is the attachment system at the top that go around the calf there. I find I don't like to tighten these too much. And actually when you do, you can get a bit of bunching up on the back of the gaiter there. So it can bunch up like that. And actually on my most recent trip with these, they pinched my calf to the point where I ended up with a blister on my calf. I could feel it during the day, but it was a pouring rain day. These were under my overpants and I could just feel it sort of rubbing and pinching all day. It wasn't worrying me too much, but when I took them off at the end of the day, I had a big blister on the back of my calf. I mean, blisters. Check that video out there too, if you want to learn more about blisters and how to treat them and fix them. But that happened with these most recently. I have always been on the search for something else that's maybe a bit more breathable, a bit better than the Quagmire, and also a bit more waterproof. These are water resistant. They do a pretty good job, but there are other options out there. Now also, I've got a newer pair of the Quagmires here along with an older pair, and you can see here on the side, you can see that buckle has become quite bent, whereas on this pair, it's brand new, not bent, whereas, yeah, you get that happening, and then they're unadjustable. You get the straps, it's another pair where the straps have gone. These have had a lot of use, but eventually they do go. I think you can buy replacement straps for these from memory, but I find that the gaiters tend to wear out in other areas, like in the buckles and stuff before that occurs. This was an older pair, which had a Velcro attachment at the top for the steel buckle. I actually preferred that, I think. I found it was a bit more comfortable around the calf and around the foot, whereas they've moved to that these days. So that's sort of your Quagmires over the generations. A couple of examples. Can't actually believe how many pairs of Quagmires I've got there. And I've got another pair somewhere too. But anyway, they are your bomb-proof gaiters. If you just want an all-round, ready-to-go, all-conditions pair of gaiters, Quagmires are probably your go-to. Now, like I said earlier, they do make a pair made out of event fabric as well. Now, What's the difference, you say? It is in that upper fabric. Instead of canvas, they've got that event fabric, which is kind of like a Gore-Tex breathable waterproof fabric instead of the canvas. So as a result, they are a bit lighter, and I have found a little bit more comfortable. I haven't got a pair here to show you. We'll flash them up on the screen. Now, while we're on the subject of the Cedar Summit Gaiters, we also have the Cedar Summit Grasshopper Gaiters. Again, similar style, similar look, but a few key differences. And why have I got these? Well, I've got these for my kids. This is what they use when they come hiking with me. We're not going off track. We're not going anywhere crazy scrub, but we just want a bit of protection for their feet and for their lower leg. So these are lighter and offer greater mobility, and they're better for when you've got those cruisy hikes you're heading out on, a bit more faster paced. You're not looking to be bashing through scrub, but you still want some protection on the legs. So these are made with a 600D ripstop polyester. You can see that ripstop fabric there. They're, again, like the Quagmires, they have the Velcro on the front opening instead of the buckle system, so you can do them up. Instead of the buckle system, they've got a toggle tightening system. My only criticism of any gaiters that have this sort of system with the elastic toggles is often you can be walking through a bit of forest or a low-lying scrubby area where there's some sticks or something protruding out into the track. That can sometimes get caught, pull back, and you only realise at the last second, then smack bang into the back of your calf or into your leg, and it really hurts. That is my only criticism of that system, but I tend to, if I'm wearing those, I tuck that elastic into the top so it doesn't present too much of an issue. Now on the base, these ones have string, so it doesn't last too long at all. Generally within a couple of days you would find that that would wear out pretty quickly, or I have found in the past that it wears out very quickly, so I'm constantly replacing the strings on them, but they are very easy to replace, so that's not a huge issue. Carry a bit of extra string with you, and this is something my kids would wear on somewhere like the overland track in Tasmania, somewhere like that for day walks as well. They've got the buckle system at the front there again, like the Quagmires, the same sort of steel loop as well, and it's polyester all the way down to the base, so there's no two different layers like there is in the Quagmires where you've got the upper and the lower. This is all one bit of fabric, and it's got some elasticated sort of cuffs in the middle there as well. But this one to show you those, they're what my kids wear. They're a good gaiter. That's all you need when you're taking the kids out on a pretty nicely formed track. And like I did say earlier, you do have some lower gaiters. The Cedar Summit one, again, this is more of an ankle gaiter, which just comes up to below the calf, sort of a mid-length, I guess you'd call it, mid-length gaiter. And that is just their canvas one, with the exact same as the Grasshopper, except it's got the canvas and it's got the strings on the bottom, it's got the Velcro on the front and the elastic toggles. And I don't really know why I've got those ones. They were for one of the kids at some stage. They didn't like the gaiters coming up too far at the leg, so that is what they had. Right, so that's enough Cedar Summit stuff from now. Let's have a look at some other gaiters. Next up, we've got a pair of gaiters that I've really loved there for a few years. I've wore them all the time, and these have done a lot of trips actually. And looking at them now, they have held up very, very well. These ones are the Outdoor Research Crocodile Gaiters. Is that what they're called? These ones? Yeah, the Crocodile Gaiters by Outdoor Research. Now these are a pretty classic choice. You see them online everywhere, and they're well known for their durability and year-round protection. Year-round protection. You know, they're a good gaiter made of Gore-Tex, and they're just tough and reliable. And this from the Outdoor Research website, when they're describing these gaiters, their fitted design keeps snow, rocks and debris out of your socks and shoes while travelling through harsh environments. The waterproof, windproof, breathable fabric keeps lower legs dry in nearly all conditions, and the triple bar tacked biothane. Have you heard of that before? Biothane? The triple bar tacked biothane webbing and abrasion resistant cordura components provide long-lasting durability. The double-stitched front closure and abrasion resistant design make these gaiters tough enough to handle any terrain. Compatible with hiking boots, 3-season mountaineering boots or double shell plastic boots, thanks to reinforced boot lace hooks and an in-step strap. We recommend sizing down one full size for the best fit. So again, I wore these on quite a lot of trips and they've held up well. I've actually thought of bringing them out again lately. I just had a couple of niggling issues with these, but they're probably my favourite gaiter that I have worn to date. Probably more so than the Quagmires, because I find the main thing with gaiters I like is the fit around the calf and the upper leg. I don't want it too tight and I don't want it uncomfortable. And with these, I've got to say it was always quite comfortable, mainly due to that lighter weight fabric. This is a Gore-Tex upper, that red bit, and there's a cordura fabric down the bottom here, this black bit, which is for the abrasion and all that stuff you get down around that part of the foot and the leg. They're also a hell of a lot lighter than the Quagmires. These ones weigh this much, whereas the Quagmires weighed that much. So a bit of a difference, and that you really do notice that when you're walking in these. Now with the strap system on the bottom, this is not replaceable, so once you wear those straps out, it's pretty much good night Irene for these. I had thought in my head that these had worn a lot more, but they actually held up pretty well with those buckles. The buckles are holding up pretty well on them still, so they're still fun to use. The only issues I did have with these was that it's a plastic loop clasp at the top, and that is how you tighten them on the foot. I found that would come undone all the time while I was walking, which became a bit frustrating because when these come undone, they get very loose and they're sort of wriggling around on the top of the calf. That was the only real issue I had with them. The hook on the boot, or the boot lace hook, is still going strong, similar to the Quagmire. The Velcro was good, just like the Quagmire. And look, they're looking really good, actually. I think I will pull these out again to wear at some stage. Really like those gaiters. They're made out of Gore-Tex, like I said, for that upper, and that's why I really like them. They fit well around the boot. I could get the straps under the boot well. With the Quagmire, I do find it harder to get a fit around the boot because they're very tight fitting compared to these where I found it a bit easier. So while I do wear the Quagmires all the time, I do like these better, I think. Now, I'm not exactly sure what sort of Gore-Tex that is on there. Doesn't feel like a Gore-Tex Pro to me. I couldn't really see. It says it's a Blue Sign approved Gore-Tex 3L. I don't even know what that means. 3L. It's a 3L. But, you know, they're a good gaiter. One I would probably recommend. But moving right along, I have recently purchased some new gaiters, which I am yet to try out. I'd love to know if you have a pair of these because they feel really good. They look good. And I'm looking forward to trying them out. But it is these things. It is the Rab Muztag Gore-Tex Gaiters. The Rab Muztag GTX Gaiter. That's these things. So they're more of a form-fitting sort of thing to the leg. They're very light. I do like the fact that on the top of these, they've got like a grippy rubber, which will grip onto the calf. They've got the tightening system. There is the elastic. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. I really don't want that happening as I'm walking along when it catches on something, but I'll give it a chance. They've got some pretty tough foot loops on the base as well. They feel quite thin, but tough at the same time, a lot like the Quagmire one, but they are also replaceable. They are Velcro on the inside, so you can easily take them off, adjust them, replace them if you need to. So that's a handy little factor there. And the lace loop there, it goes that way as opposed to flipping around like on the Quagmires that way. That might be a bit easier to get into the boot. Maybe a bit, I don't know. We'll give that a go. But they're the latest edition. I'm going to give them a go. So I can't pass judgment on them just yet. That will come on a future video. They say that's a Gore-Tex Pro fabric. So it should be very tough. It feels very tough. Should be breathable and should be quite abrasion resistant. So I'm looking forward to trying them out this year and seeing how they go. But if you've tried them, please leave a comment below. And while we're on that topic, if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. That's all I've got to say about that. But if you're enjoying the video, like and subscribe. Helps the channel. Thank you. Now, finally, these ones I only wear for running, and even then, I don't wear them that often. But these are a pair of gaiters, which you could use on day walks, that sort of thing. And these are called the Moxie Gaiters. It's one I found online a few years ago. Have hardly been worn a few times, but these are a form-fitting. They wrap right around tightly around the leg. And they're just great when you're doing a trail run or a trail race, and you're just looking for a bit of protection on the shins. They're more like a shin guard more than anything for the legs. Very lightweight, just made out of polyester and a bit of Cordura fabric sort of thing. And thought I'd show them as well. Good for trail running, if you're into trail racing, that sort of thing, you're after a gaiter. I use these with their ankle gaiter. I combine the two, and I find that they work well when you're in a trail race. I haven't worn those ones for a couple of years, but they are a good little option as well. Thought I'd throw that in there at the end. That is it. That is our deep dive. Well, it's not our deep dive, a bit of a dive on gaiters today. I've had a lot of people asking me, what gaiters do you recommend? What gaiters do you use? So to sum it up, well, the Quagmires, you can't go wrong. They're a good all-round gaiter. If you want something lighter, if you're not going too crazy, you're not going too far off track, if you're just doing trails, you know, pretty good trails with not too much scrub. The Crocodile Gaiters by Outdoor Research are awesome. And look, we're going to check out those Rab Gaiters too soon and see what they're like as an off-track, harsh condition gaiter. You could use the Crocodiles for off-track as well, but they may not hold up as long as the Quagmires. Quagmires are just good all-round gaiter, so that's what I'd be going with. Until the next video, hope you get out there as well. Go and, you know, bash your legs up with the gaiters on and get out in the scrub, get out in the bush, get out in the wilderness, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for joining us. See you later.